me tell you about a friend. It's Craig LeBlanc where the good times never end. Talking Parks and Rec, it's a show you gotta know. Welcome one and all to the Daily Parks and Rec Show. It's the Daily Parks and Rec Show.
If you're going to follow the professional path of park and recreation, is to get involved early. Whether it's the local park and rec department or local nonprofit that deals in whether it's a Boys and Girls Club, get involved and learn the ins and outs of it.
Welcome to the Daily Parks and Rec Show. Today, we're joined by Kenny Michaels from Wallingford, Connecticut, a visionary in the world of parks and recreation. Kenny's work is transforming parks into vibrant community hubs, from playgrounds to nature trails. His commitment to sustainability and creating safe, beautiful spaces has left a lasting impact on his town. Beyond managing parks, Kenny is dedicated to mentoring others in the industry, passing on his love for parks and recreation to the next generation. Join us as we explore Kenny's journey, the challenges he's overcome, and how he's shaping the future of parks in his community. It's a conversation filled with insight and inspiration. So, sit back, relax, and enjoy our chat with Kenny Michaels on the Daily Parks and Rec Show. All right, we're live. This is Craig LeBlanc, the doorman, with the Daily Parks and Rec Show. I apologize. I was actually on the road. I was supposed to have a maintenance show, but my car, I had to spend the night because my headlights went out. But today I have Kenny Michaels from Wallingford, Connecticut. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And he has got some major mastery I want to share. I want to at least give him a platform to share some really cool things. So if you're a director listening to this, you've got something to learn from Kenny around a couple of things that he has done well. And we can just actually hop right into that. First of all, how'd your weekend go?
Weekend was good. I have two teenage boys, so we're always on the go, both involved in baseball. So my older son's a sophomore in high school. Games Friday night. Unfortunately, the weather up here in the Northeast hasn't been able to cooperate much on the weekends. Excuse me. We get the beautiful weather during the week, but on the weekends we haven't lucked out with the rain. So we had a washout on Saturday, games all day yesterday, and we're back here on the grind on Monday.
Man, I love it. I love it. There's something about the culture of Parks and Rec people. They just seem to be so they're so active. To me, it's a sign of life that you love what you're doing, and you most activities and most efforts that y'all put would just wear people down. But I think it's because you have such impact in your community, and it's you're growing as an individual that you just keep climbing the tough mountain because you love to climb. And whereas most people would give up and quit in a lot of other industries, not this industry, y'all go deep.
No, we're always on the go, and I think a lot of it is our industry. We're always like 6 months ahead, right? We're like retail. We're always trying to stay ahead because we plan for the season ahead of us.
Yeah.
So we're the wheels are always moving. We're always involved. We're staying busy. Just like now, we start summer registration in February and March, to get people ready for July and August. So,
yeah. Well, maybe we can talk on that one subject. I know we hadn't planned on talking that, but maybe you can help people that aren't in Parks and Rec understand the value of planning, because, man, y'all plan way ahead, and you almost have to, because your bean counters are always wanting you to tell them, give me a budget. What are you spending money on? Lots of planning going into it.
It's not just that. It's staff preparation, going through interviews, hiring your staff, making sure you have quality people that you have in place ready to go. So you get ready with orientation, in June, to be ready to go, for camps in July and August. We get the ball moving, probably by the end of January, early February, with our permits to the schools. We utilize 3 elementary schools in town for our summer camp programs. which is vital, to get it done ahead of time because we don't know what scheduled maintenance is going on at the schools, what construction projects. So if we have to pivot and come up with an alternative location or plan, we don't want to be doing that in May or June. If we can be ahead of it in February or March, then we can make the accommodations necessary that are needed to make sure we still put on, a quality summer program.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think I like how you said it does take a lot of planning because there's permits, there's staff, there's facilities that need to be on a schedule because a lot of these facilities, there's a lot of stuff happening, and so you need to get on the books. You need to kind of block your time off. The staff can't be assigned to two different events at the same time. Well, I guess they could, but that's usually how
A little
things go.
challenging.
Maybe we can talk about, and this is a topic that I think Kenny can speak on at a high level. So if you're a director and listening, I think this is one thing I saw that Kenny probably does better than most. I'm always trying to find, who's in the top 1 or 5% of the entire industry in a specific topic. And I think Kenny could, of all the 300 directors I've interviewed, I would say you are probably the best at this one topic. And
Thank you.
it's managing program revenue, and he talks about quality over quantity. So maybe we can talk about when you first started, you noticed you had a lot of stuff going on, but maybe weren't doing it as well. Maybe talk about those days when you recognized things just were off.
Sure. So just to kind of jump back into my history, I started here in Wallingford in 2001 during my internship. Was hired part time thereafter in the fall of 2001. Came on in the fall of '06 as the recreation program specialist. And Wallingford's always been known for their programming. And not that they didn't do it well, they did it extremely well, but there was a lot to the programming component. Running close to almost 300 programs a season. But running those programs as I started to dive into them, we were running at 70 to 75% success rate.
Mhm.
And it was like, how can we be better? How can we have a better success rate than 70 and 75%? And you start following the trends and start following the programs, and we start realizing 12 karate programs with 30 kids spread out over 12 classes it's not quality, it's not
Mhm.
efficiency, and we're utilizing programming space for programs that we're going to end up canceling. So we kind of just took a deep dive into it at that point. And again, back to what you had said initially as we started, it was the quality over quantity. So we reduced program offerings in the sense that we didn't need to duplicate or have 12 different karate classes, and we didn't need to have um, 6 different, you know whatever classes. We just started cutting them down to the point of, okay, what's going to work. And over time we started again with no decrease in revenue, actually with an uptick in revenue. We started to reduce those karate classes from 12 to 8, and taking those 30 people and making it 40 people, but over 8 classes or over 6 classes. um,
Mm.
Started filling classes, started freeing up programming space for other programs that we saw that might have a need. That was during the yoga boom right around 2007, 2008, 2009. So when we freed up some classrooms, we also added more yoga. Not yoga, Zumba, and Zumba was just taken off at that point. So it's always kind of keeping a management on. I'm fortunate to have a 40,000 square foot facility that we get to oversee, manage, and utilize how we see fit.
Mm.
So, we ended up trimming some of the fat, so to speak, and taking programs from, 300 a season to low 200s, 205, 210, but making the efficiency rating like about 88, 89%. Um, the past couple of years, we've been in the low 90s, offering about 190 to 205 programs a season.
Yeah. And I think a great example of this is 100% see how the quality over quantity is gonna run a more efficient, more I don't wanna say profitable, but, where you can recover more costs when you've got greater participation at a higher density. But then you've also got these things like Zumba coming in, maybe going out, yoga coming in and take its place. I think, one that we can all feel is how we've got so many tennis courts, and all of a sudden we've got this massive crave around pickleball. We don't have pickleball courses didn't magically appear. You've got to shuffle things a little. Um, do y'all have tennis and pickleball issues
Oh
going
yeah.
on as well?
I wouldn't call them issues. When I became the director 5.5 years ago, um, I was met by the pickleball community, and
Mhm,
they were loud. They were passionate. We created temporary courts for them, with temporary nets, and
mhm,
it was sufficient enough for 6 months, 8 months, and they were back at my office saying, "Hey, we need designated courts." The temporary courts are nice, but we're there too much. The portable nets are getting used way too much that they're taking a beating. We're going to
mhm,
need new ones. What if we convert this tennis court, this tennis court, there's 3 tennis courts, into 8 pickleball courts? So met with the users, the pickleball people, the pickleball community. I actually had them design it. How would you want to see it? If this is what you vision, and all of you play in multiple courts all over, New England, Connecticut, some of them are going back and forth to Florida with snowbirds. How do you see this being? And they drew it out as what they would like to see. 8 courts, one little practice court in the corner. Um, I ended up soliciting bids, and what we did was a crack repair, repainting of 3 tennis courts into 8 pickleball courts. Now we knew it was going to be a short-term fix, because it was still an asphalt court where the majority of the Northeast is going into post-tension concrete. So this was kind of like a, hey, we're going to show you that pickleball is on the rise and people are playing, because this will hopefully set up our next step of funding for a post-tension concrete court on these courts within the next 1 to 2 years.
hmm. And then there's I think on 3 tennis courts, the most you could put is if you play doubles, you're talking, what, 4, 8, 12 people on the court, whereas on that same footprint, how many pickleball people can you fit on a
30,
3 on
32,
hmm.
right?
So you
Eight
get
court, 4 people per court, 32.
yeah, and then I think the game I actually helped, back when I was manufacturing LED lights and stuff, and somebody came and had me do this, um, the pickleball people came out after dark, and during the day, the tennis people were playing, and so you would have, like you said, maybe 8 people playing tennis. When the pickleball people showed up on the exact same courts, there were over 100 people. So they would sit on the sidelines and watch each other play and then rotate in for games, so the usage of the same square footage was huge.
Yeah, it's crazy to see. We're seeing a lot of our tennis people converting to pickleball. Um,
Yeah.
and when I my first project as a director was redoing, 4 post-tension tennis courts, which is at our centrally located park at Doolittle Park. It was the first post-tension concrete project in Wallingford. Um, it came out beautiful. It was great. It's also used by the high school, so therefore we kept it as a pickleball court, and we didn't overlay it. I mean, we kept it as a tennis court. We didn't overlay it for pickleball, um, because we already had that plan in motion to convert Harrison Park, from the 3 tennis courts to the 8 pickleball.
Mm.
So now that the community has seen the need for pickleball and the craze and how much use it gets, I mean, if you go to the courts between 8 a.m. and 10 a.m., the paddle rack system, which is the waiting system, has all the paddles lined up and people waiting to play.
Mm.
You have a little bit of a break
Wow.
in the afternoon. You get a lunchtime group that'll come and utilize it. We work with our senior center, to schedule time for the seniors to come use on non-heavy usage times, and then you go back to the park at like 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. and it's busy again.
Yeah. Okay, so those are 2 examples where you went, from 12 karate classes to 8, from tennis to pickleball. What are there any other examples that you've seen of this whole quality over quantity examples?
Not so. I guess if you're looking at it, we were talking about special events earlier. I
Yeah.
don't know if I'm jumping ahead here on you,
No, no, this is
uh,
good.
but we have a long-standing special event, that was called the Tom Turkey Hunt, named after the second ever director here in Wallingford, Tom Dooley. And it's a family community event every Thanksgiving, where families come and get clues for a scavenger hunt to go find turkeys hidden throughout town property throughout Wallingford. The program grew and grew to the point where it's almost like 20 locations, um, for the scavenger hunt. So people actually ended up stop coming to get their clues, and we're just going directly to the parks and taking a guess that where the turkey may be hidden. So we took a look at it. We reevaluated the program after years of keeping the same name, probably back in 2009, 2010. Um, we kept the same program, but just changed how it ran, or the event, how the event ran. And we changed it to 9 and a chicken. So we had 9 turkeys, 1 chicken throughout the town. Um, Probably about 2 years later, Chick-fil-A moved into town, created the first or second, I think, Connecticut location. And they came to meet with us and asked how they can become involved in the community. And we're like, we have the best event that we think you could be a part of. We're like, it's called 9 and a chicken. And they were like, their eyes widened and they're like, wait, tell us about it. So family scavenger hunt, 9 turkeys hidden in the community, 1 rubber chicken, put on stakes. People come and get their clues. They have to solve the clues or the riddles, and it takes them to a piece of town property to find these, turkeys and 1 chicken. So they
Mm.
said, "What can we do?" And they were like, "Gift baskets. What do you want?" So we're like, "You know what? Why don't you provide the gift baskets? 10 gift baskets for the 10 families that come back with their turkey and 1 chicken." And ever since then, now we moved the event. The starting point is at the Chick-fil-A in Wallingford in their parking lot. We set up a tent. Families come in, they park their cars. We give them the rules of the event. Um, we hand out their packet of clues, and they're off and running. Um,
Wow.
Once they reach their location, they call it into the Park and Rec department saying they found um, whatever park it is that they're located at. We check it off here on our big board. It's kind of like the NFL draft. Right? We have the big dry erase board here with the parks located. We cross them off as people come in. Um, and then they come get their Chick-fil-A basket, and actually Chick-fil-A will bring their mascot here. The families take pictures with the mascot with their prize basket, and they're on their way.
Oh, wow. This is such a great event. It's gotta be the only one in America, right? Has anybody and I know Parks and Rec is really good about what's that?
I said maybe sponsored by Chick-fil-A.
Right, right. And so what's the population that attends? How many people do this? How many years have y'all been doing this event?
It's got to be. Let's see. I'm here since 2001. Um, it's got to be close to 30.
Oh my gosh. That's
Close to
crazy.
30 years. So we're starting to see the trend of families that are doing this. The parents of the kids participating today were kids doing the event when they were younger.
Mm.
Right? So I've friends of my kids in the community that are doing it with their kids, but they loved the event when they were younger and used to do it with their parents. So it's cool to see the generational continuance of this event.
I love it, and I can already see how we already know how scavenger hunts work, and so this is a scavenger hunt on throughout all the parks, so they get to see all the parks, y'all get foot traffic, you get this kinda showcase, and then you've got a sponsor that would love the traffic and even the name recognition of chicken and Chick-fil-A and all that mess, so it seems like a match made in heaven.
When we changed the name and they came to the table, we're like, it couldn't be a better match.
Right. I maybe Raising Cane's, have you heard of them by any chance?
Yeah, they're starting to make their way here into Connecticut. I think they have 2 locations open right now, possibly looking at a third, I think.
Yeah. It's funny, my
So
house that I'm sitting in right now, 4 blocks that way is the owner's house. In Baton Rouge, right by LSU, Todd Graves. I think he's the richest guy in our state. He's up there. Um, okay, so let's see. You said something about and shifting to the next topic. Oh, actually, no, let me stay on special events. What other special events do y'all do? Because I know you have a couple others that y'all kinda
we do another great one that probably about 8 or 9 years ago, our department partnered up with Wallingford Center Inc., which is
Mhm.
an organization in town that focuses on the downtown businesses in downtown Wallingford. And we partnered up with them to do an event called the Holiday Stroll. And what it is, it really kicks off the holiday season in December. It's the first weekend in December every year. And what we do is we create like a New England holiday feel to downtown Wallingford. We get all the merchants involved. We get, all the shops. We put out street vendors, ice carvers, um, chestnut roasters. We were doing a bonfire for a while, and it draws people to the downtown community. And then the businesses do deals. You can get your early holiday shopping done. They do like a sales weekend for the stroll, and it just gives it that old like New England holiday feel, especially when the weather's right.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
we haven't been blessed the last 2 years as it's rained, but people still come out. They come out. They check out the ice carvers. People are booking reservations at the restaurants, and then they just walk the downtown area where there's different draws to each business.
Mm.
Some businesses do gift basket giveaways. Some are doing raffles, and it makes people aware of what shops are in the downtown area.
Mm. Well, let's talk a little bit about just the concept of special events. I think this is a topic in Parks and Rec that doesn't get enough attention. It's just, yes, we all have special events. We have 4th of July, Christmas parade, stuff like that. But what do you see that means to the community, both generationally, but then also with the businesses like you mentioned?
As far as the stroll goes, I think it goes a long way to for people to recognize what's in their downtown area, right?
Mhm.
A lot of it is a lot of online shopping nowadays. Malls are like a thing of the past in most situations, but it helps these small family businesses or small shops stay relevant and keep their doors open and keep them here in town. So an event like this, where we're really truly kicking off the holiday season, we're also showcasing what the town has to offer.
Mm.
Uh, Other events, a lot are being duplicated, especially just passing Easter. How many Easter egg hunts are out there, right? Everybody under the sun does an Easter egg hunt. So we took it from a standpoint of what can we do differently, right?
Mm.
We didn't want to get into breakfast with the Easter Bunny because there's a lot of people that do that, your local VFWs and other groups. So what can we do that's different? That something that's I would say missing today, but something I think we could put more emphasis on today, and that's family time.
Mhm.
So we did an event here for the second year at the Parks and Recreation Department where we invite families to come down. We set up in four corners of the gym different tables, and families can do different crafts and different Easter arts projects. And last year we brought in a kids entertainer to play while all this was going on. This year we decided to let's come up with something different, and we did a big screen movie night in our gym, showing the movie Hop. Inviting families in to spend some time together to do some family time crafts. And then if they wanted to stay and hang out, they had the ability to stay, hang out, watch the movie. We brought in popcorn. We brought in different snacks and beverages for families. Just creating 2 hours worth of time for people to be together.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Now where did that come from as far as you recognizing was this came from you or just the whole department that, "Hey, where are our family events? Maybe we should maybe invest a little more in family events."
I think it was a departmental shift.
Mhm.
We handle all the park permits here through our office, and every year we would be getting 3 or 4 permits for different organizations who want to run Easter egg hunts. Whether it's Boys and Girls Club, a YMCA, the Elks Club. You know, by the end of the day, the town's having 5 to 6 different Easter egg hunts.
Mm.
So we're like, what could we do differently? And it was just a lot of brainstorming and talking, and coming up with some ideas. I mean, our industry and what we do is a lot of trial and error. You
Yeah.
know, we throw a lot of things out there and let's see if they work. And if they do, how do we build off it? If they don't, okay, we're back to the drawing board and reevaluating what we did. And people's schedules are busy, and being a father of two boys, I see it.
Mhm.
Between sports, dance, extracurricular activities, um, people are always on the go today. So trying to come up with something where we can say, hey, if you have a block of time in your schedule, here's what we're offering for all of you to be together and do some activities and do something that you can do as a family and enjoy your 2 hours of time together, then let's give it a whirl.
I'm not sure if you realize this, and a lot of directors I think might not, because they come out a little bit to go to maybe a state convention or a national convention, but then most of their time is spent in their community. And I'm shocked at how much of what the park and rec department does is a reflection of the director themselves. Like, if the director is a master of special events, shocking, they have lots of great special events. Shout out to Gabby, who's helping us with the YPN. She was very much impacted in Miami by the after school care programs. And so her after school care program is just phenomenal. Is there any part of your community that really is part of Kenny? Things that you focus on?
I can't say there's one thing. I mean, we cover a lot here.
Mhm.
I can't say I can zero in on one thing that's about me, because it isn't. I'm fortunate
Mhm.
enough to have an amazing staff here, um, great superintendent, an excellent programmer, both great minds for the industry and business,
Mhm.
and both contribute a lot to what we do in the direction we go. We get a lot of feedback from our staff. I mean, our office staff, what they see, what they hear talking to people at the window. So we take a lot of that and put a lot of that into thought and into program and event development. But to say, is there one thing about me as to what the focus is? I can't.
Yeah. Well, that's the heart of a servant there. True public servant. Great job.
Thank you.
Um, let's say, now there is, or actually, look, we're coming up on in the middle mark. I do want to take this one opportunity. I'm going to do a little promo for our Friday show,
Sure.
and maybe you can speak on this a little bit. We have a really growing community of young professionals. These are people that are, they're going to be the torchbearers in just a few years. They're coming into this industry that's got so much to learn, and so we're helping to create this space for them to come on. We have a show dedicated just to them, 12 noon on Friday. So if you're a young professional, or if you're an agency that has interns, please steer them our way. And we have a special episode coming up. A young professional turned director was super impacted by his internship, and his professor, and his intern are coming to do a show on that Friday show. And we're hoping to create a really good model to how other parks and rec departments can use an internship program to cycle through 6 interns a year, 2 each semester, to really try to help attract a lot of talent into this industry. So we did make a little commercial for it. I'll run it real quick, and then me and Kenny will kind of chat a little bit about being a young professional in this industry. So hold on one second. The future of parks and recreation is here, and it starts with you. Welcome back to the Daily Parks and Recreation Show, where we bring you the latest insights, trends, and conversations shaping the world of parks and recreation. Today, we're diving into something that's shaping the future of our industry: Young Professional Networks, or YPN. If you love your job and love the parks and recreation community and are looking to connect with the next generation of leaders, this episode is for you. YPN is where driven, passionate professionals come together to connect, grow, and make a real impact. It's not just about networking, it's about building the future of our communities. Why join YPN? Career growth and mentorship. Learn from the best in the industry. Innovative ideas and collaboration. Be part of the next big movement. Leadership development. Take charge, make decisions, and create change. Whether you're just starting out or looking to take your career to the next level, YPN is your gateway to success. From exclusive networking opportunities to cutting-edge industry insights, this is where you build your legacy. Because the future of parks and recreation starts with you.
All right, so there's a little promo for our Friday show. Any message you have for a college kid or a high school junior looking, maybe not knowing the career path? Any pitch you can give them as why do they dedicate their life to the same industry you have?
Yeah, I think if you're going into college, I'm going to jump ahead of the high school junior, but I'm going to go into the college aspect. If you're going to follow the professional path of Parks and Recreation, is to get involved early. Get involved
Like,
early with your local park and rec department or local nonprofit that deals in whether it's a Boys and Girls Club or a YMCA. Um, get involved and learn the ins and outs of it. Um, because if you wait too, you lose an experience over time.
mhm.
So while you're in school, if you can get ahead of that, if I had to tell my 18-year-old self or 19-year-old self, if I was doing it all over again, it'd be get involved sooner rather than later
Yeah.
because you experience a lot of different things during that time. Pick up a part-time job, and you never know where it's going to lead to as far as networking and connections.
Yeah, and I think this is a very unique. This industry is in a very unique position in that if I wanted to be, I went the engineering route. I couldn't volunteer at an engineering firm at 15, and then when I graduate at 21, 22, be sitting on 7 to 8 years of experience in an engineering firm. But that's not the case with this one. You can start volunteer coaching, you can work a concession stand, lifeguard, work special events, and cities will gladly take you at, 15 years old, even as camp counselors. Are there any other opportunities that you can speak about, getting that experience?
Even something simple as being a camp counselor, right? You start be a camp counselor, get involved. You can get into teaching programs at Parks and Recreation departments or other facilities. We bring on kids to work April vacation camps, special event staff.
Mhm.
A lot of our summer staff wear a lot of different hats because on top of being camp counselors or playground supervisors or whatever it is, they'll come back and work special events for us. They'll teach some programs for us. They'll work in the office. They'll cover shifts, and some of them end up going into the field of either Parks and Recreation or sports management or something to that extent. Um, and they're already ahead of the game by kind of seeing a lot of different facets of the field. Um, so if that's any advice I can give is get involved. If you're at school, find your local Parks and Recreation department. Ask them what they're looking for. If they're looking for office staff, and if it's just learning the office and working in the office, something's better than nothing when you're trying to
Mhm.
break into the field. It's a tough field to get into. Not that I want to scare people off, but municipal setting, budgets, and things like that. You never know what's going to happen from year to year. So if you can
Yeah.
get your foot in the door and get that experience, it can go a long way.
Yeah, and I think a lot of you would not wanna find yourself with a college degree in hand, competing with somebody who also has a college degree, similar college degree in their hand, and has been volunteering and working at special events and, inside of Parks and Rec for the last 7 years. How important is that experience when you're looking to hire, the next staff member?
It is because it gets to see what they've experienced and what they've been through and what situations have they been in the field and what can they hone in on rather than somebody coming out of college with just their certificate or their degree with no practical experience. You're going to be putting a lot of time and effort into um, getting that person up to speed and what your expectations are and how your department and how the field operates. Where if
Yeah.
you get somebody that has some of that experience, part-time experience, and I can speak for myself. I mean, I was in the same position. Um, I did an internship in '01. I was hired part-time. I took 9 hours was what I was afforded on a split part-time position. When the other person left, I picked up the other 10, kept it at 19 hours, and I worked part-time for 3 years, gaining experience in the field while going for my master's and applying for jobs throughout the state because I wasn't sure if Wallingford was going to be my forever home. Just because at the time there was no positions open, and going out and getting those experience on the interviews while maintaining part time work here. I did leave the field for 15 months because I had to put my big boy pants on and get a and get a full time job.
Mhm.
Um, but even leaving Wallingford, I still stayed involved. Um, Worked for a Fortune 500 company for 15 months, and still covered office shifts here in the office in Wallingford. I taught classes on my days off from my full time job, and still stayed involved anywhere between 5 and 8 hours a week just
Mm.
to be here. Um, when the full time position opened, applied, made it through, got to the finals, and was awarded the position as a full time programmer. So even though you might not think it's a lot, or you may think it's a waste of time, if it's something you're looking to pursue, you got to be involved, and you
Right.
got to work. And again, if it's only 5, 10, 15 hours a week part time work, you're learning a lot in that time that's going to be able to translate into your full time position.
Yeah, one thing I can say about this industry is there a culture of lifetime learning here. Most people that I've talked to after 300 interviews, never stop learning. They never get off the learning bandwagon, and you being one of those people, maybe talk about what motivated you to pursue your master's, and what was that like?
Um, I knew I wanted to be in the administration side of it and be a director at some point one day. Um, I liked where the field, what the field did for me. Coming into it as an undergrad, I kind of like, and I love the hands-on component of it. Um, Being able to program and use my creative ability, and then coming out after finishing school, it was tough to get a job, and that's the truth behind it. I was still working part time in Wallingford. Was tough to land a full time job, so I said I knew what my ultimate goal was going to be was to be a director someday. Where I didn't know, but again, that was the goal. So I had the time. I utilized the time that I did have, and I went back to school to complete my master's, um, while still gaining that experience working part time, um, to get me to where I am today.
Yeah.
Fortunately.
Okay, so let's go a little shifting gears a little bit. I wanted to go into how some of the latest trends that are coming in. You had mentioned about a sport called, was it racket sport?
Padel, right? It's
Padel,
Padel.
that's what it was.
Yep. So we have a contractor who is actually doing some sport courts for us, and he kind of educated me on pickleball being the largest growing sport in the United States, but padel, and if I'm saying it wrong, I'm probably butchering it, but uh,
Yeah.
is the largest growing sport in the world. And I guess it's a cross between like racquetball, uh, paddleball. I haven't seen it yet, but
Mhm.
he said it's coming, so be prepared. He's actually building an indoor facility in a town, a couple towns over. So once that's completed, I got to check this out and see what it is.
Yeah, and maybe this will be a great time to talk about how adaptive this industry is, and how adaptability is just kind of, I mean, comes with the territory, having to constantly change from these trends coming in and out of your department, serving the community where they're at and what their need. How important is adaptability in your position?
You got to be able to pivot on a moment's notice, and you got to be able to think outside of the box. Um, Whether it's a program that you know you have a leak in the gym and the program starts in 20 minutes, what do you do? And how do you
Mm,
pivot? How do you move on from it? Some people may not be in the situation that we are, and we have the ability to say, okay, we're just going to move you to the next gym over, or if the clientele is young enough, we have an open space room that we can, also use as an alternative option. But anything can happen in a moment's notice.
mm.
Thunderstorms on a playground site, campsite, what's your backup plan? How you handling it? The minute the storm rolls in, how do you pivot and move kids from the outside to the inside? And what are you going to do on the inside when you get there? Um, it goes back to how we started the show, right? Is always planning ahead, right?
Yeah.
And at least having a plan or an idea in mind that if X, Y, and Z were to happen, how do we move from this? And we've been fortunate enough to have some good people in place that have that foresight and look ahead and say, okay, this is how we're going to handle it. This is how we're going to do it. Sometimes it springs upon you and it just happens. And, part of being a professional is keeping that cool head and figuring out how to solve the problem and how we're going to do it.
Yeah. Love that. And so one unique thing that you have going on in Wallingford is y'all don't have your own maintenance crew. Y'all share it with the rest of the city. Is that right?
That's correct. We rely on the public works department, for ball field maintenance, park maintenance. I have 2 part-time maintainers, both 19 hours a week. And they handle the simple stuff in-house here, ceiling tiles, painting, simple stuff at the parks, debris cleanup, playground surfacing, repair, refurbishing, all that stuff. But anything major that I need done, ball field maintenance, construction, field lining, relies on the public works department. And, we make the best of what we have. Is it ideal? No. I think anybody in the field of parks and recreation will tell you that. You try and build a good relationship with your public works director, which I am fortunate to have. So sometimes when you need things in a pinch or you need to really get something done, it's like, hey, you give them the call and you kind of plead your case, and 9 times out of 10 it gets done.
Yeah.
But it's difficult in the sense where they're paving and doing catch basins and doing construction work. Sometimes the park stuff gets put on hold until they get done what they need to. A lot of people in our community understand that. They've been used to it by now. But it's definitely a challenge.
Yeah.
Something that we do make work. But in a perfect world, perfect scenario, it's, every parks department would have their own maintenance crew or, park crew.
Yeah. Well, it'll be a perfect time to talk about our newest show to the Daily Parks and Rec show. We have a facilities maintenance show, started 2 weeks ago. So this is our 3rd week. Still, give me 30 episodes to get this just right. But man, talk about a massive undertaking maintaining the nation's park and rec facilities. And so we are giving a full show, 10:45 a.m. Eastern, Monday through Thursday, where we're bringing on some of the best masters in urban forestry, field maintenance, splash pad maintenance, playground, you name it. If it's maintaining the facilities, would you say, and I know y'all's are a little different, but I've had other directors say it's easily a third, approaching a half of the manpower and the dollars spent are just to maintain this massive real estate portfolio that's under the care and stewardship of Parks and Rec directors. Is that y'all are a little bit different because you share with the
resources in the sense, but the public works department really budgets a lot of those maintenance costs. If I had to say, I don't think they'd be far off to say that that's half if you're doing it correctly and the attention given to what is needed at these locations. But unfortunately, that's, we're not in that situation. We're not in that boat.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me go ahead and play this one little clip for facilities maintenance show, and then we'll come back and finish up about your personal career and, what's your why. So hold on 1 second.
Welcome to the Daily Parks and Rec Show, where we highlight the essential work that keeps our parks and facilities thriving. From local ball fields to multi-use athletic complexes, field maintenance ensures every space is safe, ready, and welcoming for play and community events. Facility maintenance is the backbone of operational excellence, ensuring that recreation centers, playgrounds, and shared spaces are functional, clean, and built to last. Behind the scenes, equipment maintenance keeps vital tools and machinery in peak condition. At the core of future-forward thinking is sustainability management, integrating green practices that reduce environmental impact and enhance long-term resource stewardship. Facilities maintenance is more than routine upkeep. It's strategic, essential, and foundational to building healthy and resilient communities. This is the Daily Parks and Rec Show, honoring the professionals who keep our spaces running and our communities strong.
All right, so that show is on Monday through Thursday, 10:45 a.m. So if you have a great superintendent that's got decades of experience and feel like they have a great message for all the park maintenance stuff that's going on, please connect with me on LinkedIn. Let's get them on the show and get them to share some of that wisdom. Before we move on to you, there was one subject I think that you'd said you'd like to see more content created around capital projects and funding. So what's going on there?
Yeah, so we're our capital projects, we're at a lifespan or a life expectancy of a lot of our parks and locations.
Mm.
A lot of things are at that time where it's like, okay, we need to either renovate or rebuild, right? And we're in the process of doing that with a lot of our outdoor sport courts. We got a basketball project, post-tension concrete basketball court project starting Monday, May 4th to upgrade an outdoor basketball court at one of our park locations. A lot of our old asphalt courts are cracking and in some cases in really bad conditions. Um,
Yeah.
we're upgrading 2 tennis courts and 2 basketball courts at another park. That's probably going to be upcoming in the next 2 to 3 weeks. So we'll have 3 major capital projects going, but it's difficult when you're competing for capital money with the public works department and the engineering department and your recreation. Um, our capital budget or our capital dollars are pretty much dictated based off of the mill rate and a formula created by the comptroller. And every year it's generally around 1.8 million, 1.9 million for capital projects. Now, a million of that off the top goes towards paving of the roads. So now we're left with, figure 800,000 on the low end to be split between engineering and public works. And engineering needs at least 400,000 or almost 400,000 for sidewalk repairs,
Mm.
guardrail repairs, and things that they do. So now we're left with a pot of $400,000 that I'm hopefully getting access to. Um, so it's finding ways to be creative with these other departments and say, hey, I have these projects coming up. You know, how can we fund them, or how do we create the steps into funding them? We've been starting to look into grant funding. We have an active grant writer now in town who's helping us look into grant funding to offset a lot of these capital expenses. Um, but it's tough when you're competing with all these other major departments in town for some capital money to get these projects done.
Mm. Yeah, so we do have a show that I'm putting together. It's called Financial Fridays before YPN. It'll still probably be a couple more weeks while we're launching these other 2 shows, but that definitely is something um, that's going to be included in. And then also deferred maintenance and cost recovery. Are there any other financial topics like that that you'd like to see us, speak about or create
Yeah, I think
content around?
like project bonding, bonding the projects, um, the benefit of bonding a project versus using capital reserves, things like that. I mean, I think you're on the right path. I mean, when you and I had our discussion, a lot of the
Mhm.
show topics and a lot of things that you're looking to cover, I think are great things for professionals in our field. So we can kind of see or hear what other towns or other states or other agencies are dealing with, outside of our little bubble here in Connecticut.
Yeah. Yeah, there are some towns out there that have I ran into a town that recovers, or a park and rec department recovers 110% because they have no tax. They have to they can only eat what they kill. And then I was talking with Sevi out in, San Francisco, and he said he is one of the, teaches at director school, and he's got a city that recovers over 300% of their costs. And so there are certainly some agencies out there that we can kind of pick their brain, showcase what they're doing, and hopefully share a lot of good information for other parks and rec departments to kind of get a hold of more dollars to tackle this mountain that y'all are doing.
Yeah, and it's getting your municipalities and your administrations on board to get creative and find different ways, whether it's enterprise funds or you know not deferring your rollovers each year and maybe holding on to that money in your own budget that you can
Mhm.
use the year after to put towards projects. Um, it's trying to find ways to be creative to get that funding,
Mm.
sponsorship, advertising. I mean, the benefits are endless.
There is one that I can share from, I think it was a director up in Wisconsin. He fell in love with a multi-year contract. He said, when was offering a 5-year contract or a 7-year contract, I would always get at least 20% off. And as a former vendor to this industry, if I could ever get somebody to guarantee me 5 years of work, then I knew I would have to pursue a lot less contracts. If my contracts are 5 years long, I would absolutely give a discount for the exact same service. It does kind of tie you to one for a little bit longer. So I know it's a little more complicated than that, but that was one area where there's a lot of cost savings if you can find a way to do multi-year contracts to your vendors.
Sure.
Um, okay, so let's get into your why. Why are you in this industry? What keeps you coming back? Yeah, kind of like what is really at the heart of why you continue to do this, Kenny?
I'm a sports guy at heart.
Mm,
You know, I love that component, but I also love the component of the field of the variety. Um,
mm,
we do everything from arts to um, senior activities to preschool to STEM. Our STEM program has grown tremendously with the help of a local teacher here in town over the last, I would say, 8 or 9 years, to the point where we
mm,
have 4 pages designated in our brochure and a designated classroom within our facility for just STEM programming. Um, all things that I never thought I'd be involved in or getting into, but it's the variety of programming and the diverse variety of people coming to utilize our facility. Um, my why is I like the challenge. I do. I
mm,
like the challenge of providing the programs and events and seeing the reaction of people and how it impacts their lives. And, I think we touched on it earlier. Is we're a busy society. If people can take some time to enjoy what our department is doing and providing for them, and for them to be like, "Hey, this was great. Thank you. Like my family enjoyed it." Like that's all we need to hear. Like
mm.
that's like the pat on the back for us. Um, like I said, I'm lucky. I have a great staff here. People that have bought in. They're invested. They understand our why as a department as to what we do and what we're looking to do. And again, that's to provide quality recreational opportunities for people in the community that you know improves their quality of life.
Yeah. Now where does that, were you always kinda enjoying the challenge as a young person? Does that come from your sports background or where does
I
that come
do.
from?
I'm competitive, not as competitive as I used to be anymore. I think my kids have
Mhm.
worn me down, but um,
Yeah.
I like the challenge of like, I don't think this program's going to work, and it's like, well, why? Like, what? Show us it's not going to work. Let's figure it out, and we'll put it out there. And if it doesn't work, and then we learn, okay, it didn't work. But we've put programs together that people question that we put out there and have taken off.
Mm,
Um, So um, I like the challenge in that aspect. Like even like with special events, like the norm, right? We did the norm for the Easter egg hunts for years, and it was your traditional Easter egg hunt. It was over in 5 minutes. Okay, well, how do we change it? How do we make it better? How do we come up with something different? How do we have a different
mm,
focus? And that was the challenge. And the program that we changed it to, is it as busy as an Easter egg hunt? No. But will it be over time? I think so, because we're creating that time for people to spend with their families for, whether it's an hour or 2 hours.
mm. So, when it comes to, the future of Parks and Rec, or at least at your neck of the woods over there in Connecticut, where do you think Parks and Rec as an industry is heading, and then maybe even specifically to your region?
That's it's always evolving, right? I mean, we
Mhm,
can say something today and it changes tomorrow. Um, I think the return and we talked about it off air prior to, but therapeutic recreation. Um, we're seeing. We used to be a regional hub for therapeutic and adaptive programming in Connecticut at one point. Um, COVID kind of changed some of that, but we're starting to see the need for it again. Um, Driving source, maybe some social emotional things um, with children, families, adults. Um, so I think that's going to be a growing trend coming back. Um,
mm.
you can say pickleball till you're blue in the face, but it's there and it's not going away.
Right.
And what's the next sport that's going to be coming behind it, that's going to be occupying your outdoor spaces? Um, we've had rugby come and look for space here in town. I think that the use of outdoor sports facilities is going to continue to grow. Um, I don't want to say it's an issue, but year-round sporting is something that's there and is continuing to grow. Whether it's fall, spring, summer baseball, fall, spring, summer lacrosse, we're starting to see spring football looking to make a presence. So um, I think that's going to be a trend, but I don't know how good of a trend that's going to be.
Hmm. Now, we're on the cusp of starting another show centered around recreation sports, and so not necessarily focused on your highly competitive travel ball team stuff, but just the old-fashioned little league sports where you're working with mostly non-collegiate athletes or future non-collegiate athletes. What kinda almost like a coach's corner, we haven't even decided of a title of that. Is there any recommendation you can give us around covering youth sports in parks and recreation?
I think it's taking a look at it and evaluating it from the outside. So here in Wallingford, 95% of our youth leagues are run by outside organizations. The only ones that
Mm,
we run in-house here are the youth basketball league and girls youth volleyball.
mm.
Um, I think it's taking a look at it from the recreational component, is still going back to that the year-round play, right? And I get we want to keep kids active and we want to keep them busy, but is the year-round play in one specified sport worth it? And
Yeah.
I think that could be a big topic of discussion, um, because I think we live in a FOMO society today. Parents fear missing out for little Johnny because little Joey's playing baseball year round and little Johnny's not. And little Joey's probably going to be better than little Johnny because he's getting year round play, which isn't necessarily the case. So I think
Mm.
if you're going to start a focus, I think you start there with the analyzing of youth sports, and then you could jump into a bunch of different topics of lack of volunteers and the reason for lack of volunteers, and you can go in many different directions with that one.
Yeah, well, shout out to Chad Parker, who's working with Braves Country, and the Atlanta Braves went to they can recruit from 6 states. That I learned all this from them. And, they were looking to invest they were wondering why their numbers were dwindling of actually professional players, and, they were looking to invest in travel ball, highly competitive leagues, and what they were finding out from their pro players and from the coaches was that the kids are getting burnt out before they ever hit 8th grade because they're being pushed so hard, and the professional players on the Atlanta Braves teams were saying, "I played every single sport. I swam, I did basketball, I did football, and I did baseball. I was just really good at baseball." And so now they're starting to, and this is one of the biggest baseball brands in America, is starting to invest in the local community baseball, not all this highly competitive year-round play. And so that's coming from the top of the food chain when it comes to Major League Baseball. So I think there's a message there that I think should resound with most park and rec departments, don't you think?
Oh, I think definitely, and we see it in our basketball side of things. Again, post-pandemic numbers have dropped. At our peak, our youth basketball numbers were 13, 1,400 kids. Now, a lot of that has to do with declining school enrollment over time, and the numbers have dropped. And post COVID, now we're hovering between 650 and 675 kids. Now, we also seen another travel program come into town. Um, so there's two travel basketball programs. So if they're playing travel, they're not playing rec. Um, there's that quote unquote prestige of playing travel over playing rec. So there's the battle there. Um, but that'll be a 2 hour show in its own.
Yeah.
Travel versus rec.
Well, we have an entire we're getting ready to do either 50 or whether we do one a week or 104, whether we do 2 shows a week just on that one topic, just rec sports, because it's such for me, I was actually did a lot of rec sports growing up, and I was fortunate enough to get a full scholarship, in college to it, but the lessons I learned were mostly in, like, baseball and track and field and, you know, basketball, and I did not play either one of those in college. And then I take all those life lessons into my profession, and so I would hate to cut out all these life lessons for an engineer who's never gonna do anything but engineering or teaching, because there's so many life lessons that you learn on in team sports at the community level.
Oh, absolutely. And I will say this. I mean, there's different life lessons at every sport, but no sport teaches you more about life than football. And I tell people
Mm,
that all the time. But I can definitely tell in a setting, if we're in a group of people, I can tell you who played team sports and who did not. And I think I can
mhm,
read that pretty well. Um, the rec component, it's the cost effective alternative for people. Um, it's not an overcommitment, and I think it's something that's viable today. Um, there's a travel baseball program probably on every street corner, if you look hard enough. And
mhm.
a lot of that is built off of kids not making one program and developing another, and not making that program and developing another. Um, and where does that trend end?
Mm. Well, maybe we can have you as a guest on our rec sports, show, and shout out to Aaron Lux. He's gonna be my co-host, so I won't have to host every single every single episode on the Daily Parks and Rec show. I appreciate that, and I know we're gonna get a lot of some of the country's best coaches on that channel. We've already got we're both pretty well connected in the coaching world, both college and high school, so, looking forward to that. Um,
I'd be happy
okay,
to.
so man, that went by so fast. Is there any message you'd like to leave the world of Parks and Recreation with?
Oh, geez. Um, it's a thankless job, right? And the value in what we provide as professionals um, is astronomical, and I think majority of the people in our field understand that, and they realize what we bring to communities and what we bring to families. Um,
Mhm.
just don't lose sight of that, right? Continue to do
Yeah.
that on a day to day. Continue to realize and have the foresight to see what Parks and Recreation does for your community and the families in it. And we'll continue to be successful.
Yeah. Well, I look as a former, little league baseball, basketball player, I appreciate the work that y'all are doing, and thank you for your service to the community. Y'all men like you helped raise me as a little boy, so I
Well,
wouldn't be
well,
who I
thank
am
you, and
today.
I'm glad you took advantage of your local rec opportunities, um, and thank you for having me on. I don't know, I think I may be the first director from Connecticut. I know Molly was on with the
Yeah,
YPN, with the Young Professionals Network,
yeah.
but I'm the first one from Connecticut.
Oh, well, actually, tell us more. We'll go over it a little bit, but tell us about CRPA because I know you're getting more active in that or are active in that.
Yeah, I've been active with our state organization. Valerie Stolfi Collins is our executive director to the Connecticut Recreation and Parks Association. Does a great job with the organization, provides quarterly trainings to the professionals within the state. Um, has our annual conference every year, the Monday and Tuesday of Thanksgiving at Mohegan Sun Casino. Does a fantastic job with that, with bringing in people and various speakers to cover different topics. Um, of things to help us be better at what we do in the field. Um,
Mm,
it's a viable resource. We just we have a directors network that also meets quarterly, where we just kind of have a roundtable of it's an open forum more or less of what are we seeing in our towns, what are we dealing with, how are we doing with budgets, are things getting cut, if so, how you dealing with it. It just creates a lot of different pathways for us to network with professionals in the field and to brainstorm and get help and ideas from colleagues. It's great.
mm. Yeah, fantastic. If you have not attended your state or even the national, association annual meetups, you're really missing out and kinda cutting yourself off from a massive chunk of wisdom and network that, is gonna serve you. Well, Kenny, thank you so much for coming on the show today. Really appreciate your service of, keeping our communities beautiful and helping raise the next generation over there.
Well, thanks for having me, Craig. I greatly appreciate it. And if there's anything else down the line, don't hesitate to reach out.
Yep, no problem, man. Have a great week.
Thanks, you too. Take care.
Yeah. Bye. All right, so that was Kenny Michaels over there in Wallingford, Connecticut. Another great Parks and Rec director that's just got. I tell you, these guys are amazing. What they accomplish, what they do, and how they just keep serving their community, and just keep learning. I can't believe how much this industry just learns nonstop and fills in the gaps for whatever the community needs. It's just really a great testimony to what we got going on here in Parks and Rec. So appreciate y'all attending today. As I said before, we've got 4 episodes of that was what we call the leadership series. We actually have a whole group of logos that are coming out for every show. So this is going to be called, I think that the title we're settling on is Leadership Series. And it's where we highlight the leaders of Parks and Recreation, directors, assistant directors, and then maybe even some of the best in one of the smaller industries or one of the small segments like therapeutic recreation. We want to find like the nation's top 5 in that we're holding up and saying, hey, this is who we look up to in that one slice of Parks and Recreation. And so we want to highlight those leaders in Parks and Recreation on our noon show, Monday through Thursday. Friday, YPN, that's going to be for our young professionals. So that's going to be more of a panel where we have myself, the host, usually a mentor or a professor, and 2 or 3 interns or recently graduated that are just coming into Parks and Recreation to kind of give them a voice. And I promise we're going to do an in-person event. We're working at it this year. Hopefully in the next month or so, we'll be able to kind of pick a date and a location. We're going to make it super affordable to where literally the only thing you might have to pay is $100 in your plane ticket. And so you get to hang around a nice group of young professionals, and we're going to bring in some people from director school and to kind of teach a class on that. So be looking for that. We also, and I apologize so much, I had a person this was Joseph. I'm going to reach out to you. My car, literally the headlights went out and I was supposed to be here yesterday, but I could not pull it off. So I had to do 4 hours of driving this morning for the show. And I missed my 9:45 facilities maintenance show. So we're going to reschedule him. We're going to have facilities maintenance 9:45. I'm sorry, 10:45 Eastern, Monday through Thursday. And then, yes, we are stitching together the Financial Fridays. But the biggest announcement, Mr. Aaron Locke has agreed to help me host. And so where he'll be the host, I'll help get him started. And he's going to do at least a weekly show. I'm going to try to talk him into do a twice a week show on rec sports. So calling all coaches, calling people that are doing rec programs. You have your own show now. And we believe that it's so important. We'll at least do 50 shows a year. Maybe we'll do 100 shows a year just on the topic of recreation sports, all sports, baseball, basketball, football, you name it. If we're doing sports on park and rec facilities, what does that look like? What's the wisdom behind it? Who's running, exceptional programs? And then we're going to give the coaches a voice as well on that. So looking forward to having that content come out. I think we'll go ahead and close it out with, let me see which one. Yeah, this one will do good. Okay. All right. So I will be here tomorrow. We have Skylar coming on. Tomorrow we have Tanya. Oh, Tanya. Tanya is one of the few park systems I was able to personally tour all day. She hosted me, I think on a Friday. I went and saw hers. And this is Pensacola, Florida. She's the assistant director over in Pensacola. If you have not been to Pensacola, man, you are missing out. Gorgeous beach, one of the best Florida beaches, one of the best beaches in the country. But it's also a really well put together city, very clean. They're doing it right. So I did live there for almost a year, so I'm kind of partial to it. She's coming on Wednesday, and then Thursday, I think we have an open slot. So if you'd like to present on Thursday or come on our leadership series, please reach out to me. And then we also have a really good show scheduled for the YPN show. We've got a couple of people attending. So lots going on this week. This is going to be, major announcement. We hired another full-time person for the Daily Parks and Rec show. So we were falling behind on our videos, and I had about 3 other very talented digital artists that I've already kind of vetted and recruited. And so I was just waiting for that next sponsorship. So thanks to Aaron Locke and his company, and a couple other sponsors that have said they want to help out, we're able to hire our 3rd video editor so that we can get these shows out and up on YouTube, fully edited with all the intros, outros, highlight reels, and all that kind of graphics and stuff. So welcome to the team, Trixie. Looking forward to having you, and you'll get to see a lot of her artwork and creativity into the content we produce. All right, this is Craig LeBlanc signing off with the Daily Parks and Rec Show. We'll see y'all here tomorrow. Love you guys. Y'all have a great day. Bye.
Welcome to the Daily Parks and Rec Show. As Craig LeBlanc from the Daily Parks and Recreation Show says, parks and recreation aren't just spaces, they're the soul of our communities. Across America, parks provide more than just a scenic escape. They're places where people connect, stay active, and create lasting memories. Parks promote physical health with trails, sports fields, and playgrounds while boosting mental well-being through the calming effects of nature. Recreation programs bring communities together, offering everything from fitness classes to cultural events. And as Craig often highlights, parks also play a key role in protecting the environment and driving local economies by attracting visitors and increasing property values. Whether it's a family picnic, a weekend hike, or simply enjoying the outdoors, parks and recreation are where life happens. Want to dive deeper into the stories behind America's parks? Tune in to the Daily Parks and Recreation Show with Craig LeBlanc for inspiring insights, tips, and updates about the spaces that bring us all together.